Hi there, this is Matt with State of Flex here with a different kind of video than I normally do. This is going to be my Christmas wrap-up video. I watched several Christmas movies this year, 16 in point of fact, and not all of them are brand new. I've seen some of these plenty of times before. But I thought I'd do a ranking video this year of the Christmas movies I watched, starting in the 16th place and working my way up to the best Christmas movie of the year. And possibly of all time, debatable, but we're gonna start in the 16th spot. We have Christmas on Mistletoe Farm. This is an ugly piece of crap movie that is currently streaming on Netflix. It was released last year, and it is damn near unwatchable. The ending of the film is absolutely stunningly baffling that I just couldn't help but, stare transfixed at what was happening in front of the screen in the most unpleasant way possible. I hated this movie, and I'm a fan of trashy Christmas movies, especially British ones, but this one was, oh my god, a special kind of bad. Will not revisit, and I urge you not to as well. In the 15th spot, we have It's Christmas Carol. This is a spin on The Christmas Carol, a modern-day interpretation of it from circa about 10 years ago that I watched because it starred Carrie Fisher, not in the Scrooge role, but in the ghostly role. And Carol is the one that is the Scrooge figure, and she's being led through past, present, and future for her love life and all that kind of stuff. Carrie Fisher's scenes make it work. She has some genuinely funny lines. Most of them I'm sure she probably wrote in an uncredited capacity. But when she is not on screen, that movie falls flat AF. Don't necessarily recommend it, just watch the Carrie Fisher parts. Carrie Fisher is a gem and I miss her dearly. In the 14th spot we have Christmas at the Drive-In. This one I believe is streaming on Hulu and has a certain charm to it. This stars Danica McKellar from the Wonder Years fame, and she is quite lovely in the movie. I'm a fan of movies and the whole drive-in vibe, even though, fun fact, I've never been to a drive-in. That's something I plan to do. But I liked the vibe of the movie, but it is by the numbers in kind of the most bland way you can imagine. So that one is teetering towards the bottom of my list. In 13th place we have A Nutcracker Christmas, starring Amy Acker. I love Amy Acker. She's one of my favorite actresses and one of the most underrated actresses of, I think, my lifetime. I first discovered her through the Buffy spin-off Angel, which she dominates the 3 seasons of that show that she is in. But anytime I see that she's in something, I try to watch it. And she has a couple Christmas movies. This one is one I'd never seen before, so I decided to check it out. It's not great. It's about these two people who had sort of an uncoupling, and she's a ballet dancer, and she stepped away from ballet because a terrible tragedy befell her at the beginning of the story, and she's kind of thrust back into the world of ballet. She is great, and the ballet-ness of the movie is quite fun, but the movie is very standard by the numbers, clearly filmed in Southern California, because when they're doing the outside scenes and stuff like that in the middle of frigid winter, everybody's just kind of super chill about it, no sense of urgency, no rosy cheeks, nothing like that. But you know what, Amy Acker makes it worth watching to some respect. She also has another one called Dear Santa. I didn't get a chance to watch this year, but that's one I typically do watch every year, and I actually kind of like that movie. Moving on to a movie I already talked about on my channel. In the 12th spot is Black Friday, which was kind of the movie that kicked off my winter watching of the year. But yeah, Black Friday, I think you can watch my whole review of it, is a great idea for a movie. Its execution isn't necessarily there. It seems very two-toned. The filmmaker wanted it to be something that the script clearly had a different mindset for. Yet Bruce Campbell is the shining star of the film and almost makes it work because he understood the assignment and knew what movie he signed up for. He was also the producer of it. In the 11th spot is Shrek the Halls. Full transparently, I'm not a huge Shrek fan. Shrek is not my franchise, yet I was kind of charmed by this short film. I think Shrek works best for me in small doses, and I've seen a few Shrek short films that I actually like quite more than the movie, but Shrek the Halls is a cute Christmas one. Check it out. Let's see, in the number 10 spot, we finally cracked the top 10 Christmas movies I watched this year. I should say winter movies. One of these isn't necessarily Christmas. In the 10th spot, we have One December Night. This is a Hallmark movie starring Bruce Campbell with no horror or, genre vibes to it whatsoever. Instead, it's about two aging rock stars, one played by Bruce Campbell and the other one played by Peter Gallagher. For a second, I lost the name, it blipped out. But, they're two aging rock stars who have separated in the past, who come together one December night for one final rock performance of their hit song, One December Night. This is an above-average Hallmark movie. It definitely hits the beats of your traditional Hallmark movie to some respect. Outside of the fact it's not traditionally speaking a romance, there is a romantic storyline that sort of serves as the undercurrent, but what really works best about the movie is the relationship between Bruce Campbell and the other guy who's Peter Gallagher. Jesus, what's happening here? But yeah, Campbell is quite good and plays a very atypical role for him. He's playing somebody who is suffering with memory loss, and watching somebody who's so sharp and so with it fall into a decline is really quite fascinating because he plays it so well. I would recommend One December Night. I believe that one's streaming on Amazon Prime. In the number 9 spot is another one I reviewed for my channel. This isn't strictly speaking a Christmas movie, but I included it because it is firmly winter, firmly Minnesota, which is where I'm from, and that is Winter of '83. Again, thanks for the recommendation. Mike, who's been on this channel before, he wanted me to watch this web series that cuts together into about a 95-minute movie, and I had a blast. It's funny, it's scary, it's unsettling. Not scary in the traditional sense, but like unnerving, unsettling. Quite funny, sort of spoof on horror webisodes. I give that a firm recommendation. In my number 8 spot, we have Who Killed Santa? A Murderville Mystery, starring Will Arnett and Jason Bateman as himself. That one is quite fun and charming. It's somewhat forgettable in a weird way, but while I was watching it, I had a great time and I linger with those memories. In the number 7 spot, I have a movie called I Believe in Santa. This is one that Letterboxd clearly seems to hate, and I don't necessarily understand why, outside of the fact that the two leads don't look like they should lead this kind of movie. That said, it's written and starring the leads, written by the leads who star in the film. I like it. It's about this grown-ass man who firmly believes in Santa Claus and the magic of Christmas, and the girl that he is falling for is like, how can a grown man believe in Santa Claus? And also, I hate Christmas. And watching these two people come together who have two completely differing ideologies is handled in a vastly more mature way than you would expect. This is not treated as a joke in any sense of the imagination. It's treated seriously, and I think there's benefit to watching something about people with conflicting ideologies finding resolution in a middle ground that is pretty appropriate. And I enjoyed I Believe in Santa. In number 6, we have Small One. This is a short film on Disney Plus that was a Disney short from the 1960s, I want to say. And it is a really strong sort of origin story of the donkey that was there the night Jesus was born. And you see what happened on how this donkey got led to that manger. And it's really kind of a fascinating little story. And one that I wouldn't have seen if it wasn't included in the, like, check this out on Disney Plus. And I urge you to do it too. It's like 20 minutes, and my wife, my daughter, we all loved it. We watched it last year, we rewatched it this year, and I quite recommend. From this point forward, everything is stuff I've seen before and are my go-to Christmas classics, with the exception of one, which we'll touch on in a second. In my number 5 spot, we have Frosty the Snowman. This is my favorite of the Rankin and Bass movies. Maybe Little Drummer Boy is on par with this, but I think Frosty has a certain charm to it and storytelling device that I really quite like, with this magic hat, this magician, the spirit of Christmas that embodies the snow and Santa's inclusion. It has a bit of sadness. My daughter's a little resistant to rewatching this because she's triggered about when Frosty dies. But I love Frosty the Snowman. That's my favorite of the Rankin and Bass stories. And my number 4 spot was new to me this year, which you can watch my full review for on the channel here, Tokyo Godfathers, which is so good, and one that I'm going to be including in my yearly rewatches. This is a Japanese animation anime film that is about a group of homeless people who discover a infant, and they quest to discover, sorry, my phone just beeped, they quest to discover a place to take care of this kid, or possibly find the parents. It is a great movie. It's charming, it's kind of weirdly haunting and beautiful. It's got like just an edge of cynicism. It's a great movie. I really genuinely love this. Alright, in my number 3 spot, I said before I like kind of trashy, made-for-TV Christmas movies. I think this one is the best of them, and that is the 12 Dates of Christmas. This is an ABC Family film from 2011 that I watched about 10 years ago now, and have watched every single year afterwards at least one time. I love this movie. It's charming AF. It stars Mark-Paul Gosselaar. I might have his name slightly wrong, kid from Saved by the Bell, who is charming as can be, starring opposite Amy Smart in this Groundhog's Day Christmas story, where she sort of learns to become a better person and whatnot. And what I like about that is, even though there is a romantic undercurrent between her and the lead male character, she isn't defined by that romance, and she comes to accept herself as herself and through herself, and self-importance is the most important thing. She just also happens to develop this relationship with the guy, but the guy doesn't define who she is. And I really liked that. It is charming as hell. It's based around the 12 days of Christmas, so each time you get taken through the story, you have to look for the Easter egg of the partridge in the pear tree, the 5 golden rings, the French hens, the calling birds. You have to try to find where they are. And I've watched this a dozen times, and I still think there's like maybe one that I've missed. It's in there somewhere. But highly recommend. If you don't watch any of the other movies I mentioned on this list, watch this one, The 12 Dates of Christmas. Absolutely love it, and I love it each more every time I watch it. Number 2 spot is The Polar Express. Some people call this Screensaver the movie, and I mean, they're not wrong, but also F them. This movie is really aesthetically beautiful. Again, sorry about my phone. I'm going to mute that right now. The Polar Express is aesthetically beautiful outside of the uncanny valley of the people characters. However, that never really bothered me too much. I played enough video games that didn't ever affect me. I like the ghost story kind of aspect of this film. This sort of harkens back to what I like most about Christmas storytelling, is this spirituality of Christmas that also gives way to something that could be very wholesome and sweet and warm, or cold, frigid, and spooky. I mean, they even say in the song, we tell scary ghost stories by the fireplace, right? And it also harkens back to like A Christmas Carol, which is a ghost story, probably the most famous Christmas story, and it's a ghost story. And Polar Express utilizes what was done with the picture book, which I read for the first time this year, and it's quite good. But it also, on top of that, puts in the spirituality of the Christmas season. It puts in the cynicism of maybe Santa might not be real, a dawning possibility that a child is coming to terms with. And it gives you the dark side of that notion, and also the beautiful side of the magic of Christmas and the spirit of Christmas. And it's something that I love on a storytelling perspective. The action is exciting and well done. It's not as good as Back to the Future, but I think this is in a lot of ways my favorite Robert Zemeckis movie. I mean, Back to the Future is clearly the better movie, but this is probably my favorite Zemeckis film. Highly recommend. Great score, stunning score, which really does help to elevate the film by Alan Silvestri. But I love it, and it's good. In my number one spot, and my probably, if you put gun to my head, favorite Christmas movie of all time is Home Alone. Christopher Columbus's film about a child getting left behind at Christmas and learning to come into his own agency, free of a family of genuinely kind of toxic people. He's not exempt from that himself. He's kind of toxic in a lot of ways himself. And how they all sort of learn and grow from that. Again, embodying kind of Christmas spirit, that slight spooky thing that happens around this time of year, where you have the burglar aspect of it, but also the scary haunted basement, and all that kind of stuff, the scary man who might be a murderer on the street. All this stuff works for me. It has such a beautiful tone, a beautiful aesthetic, but the production design, whoever did the sets, whoever made this movie look Christmassy, did so in such a way that it just exudes Christmas. And I love it so, so much. Not to mention, it's funny as hell. John Hughes wrote a really strong screenplay, and Christopher Columbus knew how to execute that better than anybody else possibly could have. And if you don't believe me, check out Home Alone 3, which was directed by somebody that wasn't Christopher Columbus, still operating under a screenplay, not all that dissimilar from what he'd done in the previous ones with John Hughes. And this movie was really the best case scenario with a screenplay. I think the first Home Alone movie is a genuinely good movie. I would argue that the second film is the funnier between the two movies, but certainly nowhere near as good as the first one. It's just a slicker, bigger budget version of Home Alone, where the violence at the end of the movie is amped up to 11, and honestly a little funnier because of it. But I love Home Alone. It is unabashedly my favorite Christmas movie. There's only one other one which I might actually watch on Christmas Day. And that would be Elf. But I remember seeing Home Alone in the theater. That was one of my early movie memories, and I have distinct memories of seeing that in the theater, where I was sitting, all that kind of stuff. And I carry that with me. But it's not nostalgia that makes me love that movie. I think it's just genuinely a well-written movie, well-constructed character piece that embodies sort of like this sense of Christmas, at least to me. What movies did you watch this year? Give me your wrap-up, and which of my movies do you plan on watching if you've never seen it, or which of these do you absolutely love off my list? Let me know that stuff in the comment down below. Jingle that little bell and like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.